I have a question for you this morning. For all of us. What if you're dead? What if you're dead? Oh, you may not look like it. You may still be moving, going through the motions of life, but somehow deep inside something just dead. You get up in the morning for no better reason than when the alarm clock tells you to get up. Jump in the shower, gulp down some coffee, and you're off to work. And you don't like your work. In fact, sometimes you actively hate it, but somehow, and you haven't even noticed this happening, somehow your work has just grown and grown and almost taken over your whole life. And thanks to the wonders of modern technology, you don't even leave it behind in the office anymore. It follows you everywhere you go. And it's grown and grown until you begin to think that it's going to take over your sleep and even your dreams, and then where will there be any life left? Maybe that's how you're dead. But there's other ways of being dead. What if you carry around this big, heavy load of regrets? When you look back on your life, all you see is the wrong turns and the wrong decisions. I made the wrong decisions at school. I chose the wrong career, married the wrong person. And this huge weight of regret you carry around with you everywhere. This too is a kind of death. Or then there's the death that comes in the form of depression or despair or despondency, where death is just this cloud constantly around you. Of course, there are those who fall into the death of addiction, where the need for some substance or some activity grows so great that it absorbs your whole life and your very self. And you carry around death. You see, when you start examining it and look at how people really live, you realize that death is not just something that stalks us at the end of life, not just some stranger that we like to pretend we're never going to meet someday, but a familiar friend that walks with us every day, far too close. Death is here. Death is now. That was the experience of two women. Their names were Mary and Mary. And they had come to follow a man named Jesus from Galilee. And somehow when they met this man, he had made them dream and believe that things could be different. That there could be a place in this world for them where they could live and not merely survive and dance with death day after day. He'd spoken of a kingdom not founded according to the principles of this world, but according to the principles of God, a kingdom that could belong to the meek and the poor, a kingdom that could belong to them. And for the sake of this man, to be able to follow him, they had given up everything. Their lives, their homes, their families, whatever security, and indeed whatever respectability they had. All of it, simply to go where he would go. And when they followed him to Jerusalem, they felt that it was finally all worth it, that everything now would change. Well, things changed, but not like they thought they would. And they stood there and they watched him while he died. And when they took him down off the cross, buried him in the tomb. And as they rolled the stone across the entrance to that tomb, and as the sun went down and the day died, it was like something in them died. For what was the point? Their hope was gone, their meaning, their purpose was gone, and they simply sank down to the ground and stayed where they were because they had nothing left. No hope, no meaning, no direction, nothing. And there many sit to this very day. Though they are alive, though they are moving, living death day after day. That is what it means when in the letter to Ephesians it says, you were dead through the trespasses and sins in which you once lived, following the course of this world, following the ruler of the power of the air, the spirit that now is at work among those who are disobedient. Death is the experience of those who struggle day by day with meaninglessness and purposelessness and despair and darkness. And there they sit, outside the tomb, simply dead. There we sit too. And there's nothing, no hope, no meaning, nothing left for them or for us. Maybe. So this morning we read Matthew's account of those women who were simply sitting and waiting outside that tomb. Waiting from late Friday afternoon to early Easter Sunday morning. And then, of course, we also have read about what they then experienced. And it was indeed and literally an earth-shaking experience with everything laid on. Earthquakes and descending heavenly beings and mighty men struck down as though dead. Fantastic story. So fantastic that you might wonder, well, did it really happen like that? Is it too fantastic? Now, I personally do not doubt that these women, that the early Christians, really did experience something quite extraordinary. Their friend, their teacher, their Lord and Master Jesus was taken from them, cruelly and brutally punished. He died. He was buried. He was gone. And then they experienced him back again. And he was there among them. And it was a life-changing and indeed an earth-shaking experience. But one thing I find particularly interesting and maybe even troubling is the fact that the descriptions of what they experienced are so unique and so individual. I mean, there are some, like the women, who experienced fantastic things, almost vision-like in content and quality. Well, others had very different experiences, where Jesus simply came among them in a place where he shouldn't have been able to enter. Others had quiet chats with him by the lake. A huge variety of experience, even though they have certain common elements among them. Now, the reason why I do not doubt that what they experienced was genuine and real is simply that it changed their lives. It changed their lives deeply and profoundly. They were nobodies. They had nothing in the way of background, nothing in the way of education, and yet they went on to change the world. And then people were transformed around them. And you do not change your life so completely and utterly for the sake of some bogus or made-up experience. Oh, they experienced something real. But, you see, because what they experienced was so divine, I suspect that human words simply were not adequate to really convey what they experienced. And so we see this huge variation in their descriptions. I did not recognize him, and yet I knew exactly who he was. I was not allowed to touch him, but he invited us all to put our fingers in his hands and our hands in his side. What they had experienced was so amazing, so divine, so outside of ordinary human experience that the human words weren't sufficient. And so all they could do was sort of paint a picture. It was kind of like this. The words are therefore sometimes confusing. And you might even say inconsistent. Now we have long been told that what those people experienced on that Easter, all those years ago, is the event that stands at the center of our faith. But I don't think that's exactly right. I don't think that's putting it correctly. Because, of course, while it is true that the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead is the event upon which our faith will stand or fail, I just don't think it's enough that a group of people way back when, a couple thousand years ago, experienced this incredible thing. I mean, yes, it's great, it's wonderful and meaningful that they experienced it, but it's not enough. For it to be that central event, the resurrection of Jesus Christ, cannot be simply tied to a single time and a single place. It is an event that, in a very real sense, is timeless. And so I do not believe in this event simply because they experienced it. And I don't think you should either. I believe in that event because I have experienced it. And so ought you. That's where that passage from the letter to the Ephesians comes in. For the apostle speaks to us and he says, you were dead. And he's talking to you. He's talking about whatever deadness you carry around in your life. Whether it be discouragement or despair or regret or burdens, whatever they may be. And I know he's talked specifically here about trespasses and sins, but don't make the mistake of thinking that he's merely interested in your little moral failings. It goes deeper than that. It's about how you live in this world and the deadness you carry with you. And I don't know everything about your personal lives, but I'm willing to wager that you have not come to this point in your life without experiencing in some way a certain deadness. For it is a part of life. And since we all carry with us a certain amount of deadness, we have an incredible opportunity. We can do something kind of like time travel. You can take whatever deadness you have and go back. Go back to where those women were, to when those women were sitting there beside that tomb across the street. Go there and lay down whatever deadness you have in your life. Whatever discouragement, whatever despair, whatever burdens that you have that tell you that you're not good enough, that you don't work hard enough, that you haven't earned whatever good you have, whatever burdens they are, lay them down. lay them down there alongside those women and wait as they waited. And if you wait as they waited, with patience, with expectancy, with prayer, I believe that you can and will experience what they experienced. And yeah, it might shake up your world. Throw all your priorities out of place. But you, like them, will be able to learn that He's not here. He is no longer here in the land of dead, and you no longer have to be either. That you can be raised up with Him. That His resurrection can become your resurrection, and what's more, you can be raised up with Him to the very heavenly places, seated alongside the Father above. Don't believe it because they experienced it. Believe it because you have experienced it. That's what Easter's about. And if there is a failure to believe in the resurrection in our world today, and I suspect there is, it's not merely because we live in a skeptical age, or because people have examined the historical accounts and found them lacking. It's because too many Christians are living day by day, moment by moment, as if it never happened. For if we are raised, that is what proves the event of the resurrection. So go to the tomb, go to where those women sit, lay down your deadness, whatever it is. Lay down and wait expectantly. I think you will be surprised. Let's take a few moments in silent reflection.